What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, host of the only online show in the world sponsored for fathers and dads. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care and also Dad yes. Central. I switched up the order. So then I'm going to say I am a two-time Canadian Ethnic Media Association award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award, 2018 Innovation Award. And I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that is dedicated to showcasing Blacks in the diaspora that are doing all their things in food, wine, and travel. And we have Ryan Oneil Knight. Center fielder Ryan Oneil Knight, that is.
You said that right when we were backstage. I was like, how did he know I played center field? It's because, I'm so chiseled and...
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I went by stature and right. your form and the way you're built.
Oh, man. Yes, Ryan Knight, lover of baseball and the co-founder of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, also founder of my own social enterprise called Detailing Nights that is hiring right now. So if you have a teenager or an early college or university student that is looking for a job this summer, please send them to me. They can go to detailingnights.ca, look for the Youth Entrepreneurship Program and sign up. Very excited. We're bringing on at least 10 positions, hopefully up to 20. And excited today, but something I saw in my inbox, my old house in Brampton is for sale on Central Park. I was curious if your old house where you first lived, well, one of your previous houses was up for sale. Would you buy it, Dr. Vibe?
Well, I haven't lived in too many houses, but actually, interesting story. About 2 years ago, I was looking to buy a snowblower. So I went on. And by the way, if you're looking to get your young person high, Ryan's lives in the GTA Brampton area, which is the northwest part of Toronto. So if you're watching this in like Virginia, it ain't gonna work. So,
but please do reach out. We are gonna expand there soon.
So there you go.
Hello.
There you go.
But yeah.
So getting back to my story, I went on Kijiji, which is a buy and sell website, and I saw someone who was selling a snowblower. So I said, okay. And he said, what, give me directions. What street do you live on? And he told me a street named Belgravia, which is in the Marley and Eglinton, Little Jamaica area of Toronto. Yes, I said, wow. I said, I used to live on that street.
Right. Bring you back, right?
And when I went to pick the snowball up, I made sure that I took a few pictures of the house I used to live in many years ago when I had hair and I was smaller than I am and less round than I am now. That yes. If I had an opportunity to buy a house, I would.
Hey, because I was so curious. I was like, yo, it'd be wild. And I've always wanted to go back in. I went back, we moved, oh my gosh, at least 15 years ago. And when we moved out, I went back a couple years later and it just seemed so small. Like, because I remember we used to play baseball in that basement. We used to play soccer, like full on competitions, boxing matches, wrestling matches. And then you go down there and you're like, where did we do all those activities? Because you walk into like a box and going into the basement. And it's just wild that as you become an adult, everything that you did as a kid just seems like it's impossible. Like your imagination can't even take you there. But as a child, your imagination and you can just play wherever you are. You have like unlimited space. So it was just, I'm curious to go back and see maybe what they've done with the place.
Well, please keep us updated if you do that. I'd be really interested to know.
If they kept the pink carpets. Those carpets are so soft. I remember when we first got them.
So what did you do over the weekend?
The weekend, I tried to totally unplug. I mean, Saturday, my children, Jasmine and Christian, made me promise that no game, no computers, no work. We did do our youth entrepreneurship program in the morning. So by noon, I was off the grid and just chilling with the kids, playing games, playing puzzles, and going outside for wild tree climbing adventures. But don't tell the wife that we were up in the trees. And Sunday, same thing. Tried to keep unplugged. There was time I needed to catch up. I was like, I need to check my emails because since I do have a whole day, I was like, I can get caught up on stuff. My daughter's like, hey, listen, you promised you can't be on your computer. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna check a few emails, and it did help. I felt like because I wasn't on the clock, I was progressing. I was like, yeah, I'm getting caught up. I'm getting ahead of my week. So that felt good. And again, we got to go outside and just actually walked.
Yeah, the weather was out of
spectacular.
bounds. I mean, and like most of the spring has been like my dad would call them days of night. So during the daytime, which is dark and gloomy, but over the last few days and projected this week, at least till Thursday, it's going to be sunny, not too hot, no humidity. So it's really, really good. So I'd like to say thank you, spring, for arriving. It's very, very nice. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing when the sun wakes you up. Like when you get the sun just hitting you and you're like, yeah, it's time. That is a completely different way to wake up than, like you're saying, when it's just dark, gloomy, overcast. It's not the same.
Yeah. It affects a lot of people's moods and activities. So
and
yeah,
just before we get started, I don't think anybody's ever asked you what made you get into interviewing people. So I'm very curious of the genesis of Dr. Vibe and what made you become a podcaster.
Man, you sound like it was the genesis of what you do. Wow, I've never heard that terminology. Man, you did teach you. What got me into what I was doing? That's a whole conversation itself. Long story short, I was just curious, and long story short, I wanted to provide originally a platform for Black Canadian men to express their dreams, goals, and desires, and their hearts and their minds. I was influenced. Is the book here? I will find it eventually. There's a book called Black Men Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous: Stories of the African American Family and Tradition. Good morning, Divine Right, from the DC, Virginia area.
Black Men Obsolete.
It's about 30 years old, so you probably have to find it on Amazon.
Yes.
And I also combined with my history in college radio.
Okay.
I said I wanted to provide a platform for Black men, and it's actually interesting you mentioned that. One of I have some history, Black Canadian history. I was actually one of the first Black Canadians to be hired as a urban music marketer at a major record label.
Oh.
And at the same time, I was the second Black Canadian hired at Adidas Canada. So I was working, I don't think there's any at least Black person in Canada can say that they're working for a major record label and a major sports company at the same time.
And then that track of being at the record label.
I already started doing the podcasting before that.
Oh, okay.
I already started, but actually what's interesting now is this week is actually Canadian Music Week, and it's a celebration of Canadian music that happens. It's like the 20th annual. 2020, it's either 20th or 21st annual Canadian Music Week, and someone reached out to me. It's a Thursday or Friday. I'm actually speaking on a panel on Wednesday. So it's going to be something like a first circle right across in. And it's ironic because when we were on doing our conversation on Friday, Ryan, I think beforehand or a few weeks ago, he was asking for someone. He was looking for some sort of contact in the music industry in regards to artists getting grants. Yes. So this lady is actually the lady who reached out to me. I won't mention her name. And she actually is the president of the Advanced Music Collective, which was formed in the last year. It's a Black Canadian music support group. And so it's made up of Black Canadian music professionals. So Divine Right says, I didn't know that about Dr. I learned something new every day. Yes. Well, you know what? If you don't learn, you don't grow. So I want you to grow, Divine Right. You and your son grow.
Well, I realized that it's like you're always interviewing people. So one day we're gonna have a full show just interviewing you, sir.
Well, it's actually interesting because since the pandemic, we're in a year, and especially in the last few months, more and more people asked to interview me. I was interviewed by the biggest company in the world that hosts podcast content, Libsyn. I've been a client of theirs for about 10 years. They are doing an initiative this year, showcasing Black podcasters that they're saying they're doing their thing in podcasting, and they reached out to me to start this series. So they interviewed me first. I was supposedly interviewed on the weekend by a Black lady in England who's going to be talking to me about Black men and mental health. I was interviewed by Canadian Ethnic Media Association, also interviewed by New Canadian Media this year. And there's at least 2 or 3 other platforms in the US that want to interview me. And there's a number of fatherhood sites in the United States that want to interview me. So I'm doing more interviews this year than in the first 6 months of this year than I have, period.
Right. Yes. Definitely it flipped. But you did mention Canada Music Week, and that reminds me of you mentioning that all these events have been canceled.
Yeah. So I brought it to Ryan's attention because Ryan's usually he's not city pulse, because I met someone last week. I told them about this program and go, Ryan didn't tell me. I'm going to get in Toronto. I just heard on a news broadcast, all City of Toronto major sponsored events have been canceled for the summer. So events insane. Like Caravana, not happening this year. Toronto Jazz Festival, not happening this year. So any major sponsored events that the City of Toronto is involved in are not happening at all this summer. That is huge. So the collateral effect of that, because not like vendors, 2 years, no vendor stuff.
Well, and that's the thing, because you felt like we were, I'm going to talk about myself. I felt like we were getting over some sort of hump where we could say, okay, we are in, let's say, the last mile, the last 2 miles, that if we get to a certain place, and let's say by summer, at minimum, we should be able to try things in a different way. So yes, Caravana might not be the exact same, everybody like on the road, but there would be some sort of in-person Caravana. CNE or exhibition.
Oh, actually, that's canceled too.
That canceled.
Yeah, so
that's in the fall. Well, close to the fall.
That's August. Yeah.
So you would think there'd be some sort of it. For it to be canceled is
for people who don't know about the exhibition, it's one of the biggest annual world fairs. It's been going on for almost 100 years. Probably about 100 years or so. It's been canceled. So CNE, Caravana, Toronto International Jazz Festival, canceled.
And then, like you said, that ripple effect, not even the direct effect of, like you said, the vendors and the people that put it on and get supported by it, but just the mental thought of now we know that summer is done. Like summer just got canceled events wise. Where's the real finish line for this? Is it just gonna you see like
so Divine Right? Yeah, Divine Right said, whoa, everything is canceled. I'm glad Toronto's being cautious, because down here in the States, people are breaking fly and acting like we're still not in a pandemic.
Well, and I'd be curious to see, because I remember India, they had opened up, and at one point the cases were going really low and people were trying to figure out like, did India, and then it just like now it's out of control. So with the States, same thing. Like I've seen a lot of sporting events, full capacity. I think Florida's fully opened. Different areas in the South are fully opened. Yeah. So now, is there going to be that same, see, everything's okay, and then the India effect where everything's just going to blow up and it'll be uncontrollable?
It's very interesting because contrast the practices approaching the pandemic in Canada versus the United States. The United States is wide open, whereas Canada is basically still in, at least if not semi lockdown, complete lockdown. So it's a really interesting contrast, and it's going to be very interesting to see what turns out. This Divine Right is saying, I feel for the vendors. I used to vend at events. It would be nice if those sponsor events can figure out how to do something virtual so vendors can participate. I'm sure they will, but the thing is, the income possibilities will not be as strong as that. And it'll be, if you're creative, last week I had the opportunity to do my first 2 Instagram takeovers, one of them with an organized, well, I mentioned both restaurants because if one says, how come you mention him, not them? So I did one for Sugarcane Restaurant that's in downtown Toronto, and also Gospel Cafe Express, GC Jerk Express.
Yeah.
And one of the great things with the GC Jerk Express is that they had a true food truck. Now, the thing is, right now, malls are closed. So it's going to be interesting because if malls can open up back and these events can't happen, some people who are holding this go, okay, hold on. You can have a mall open up with thousands of people, but you're not allowing our events to open up.
Right. Because what is a mall? It's a massive trade show, right? It's so be creative. Like that's why it hits me mentally, because it feels like we've given up on creativity. What could we, and Divine hit it on the head. For these vendors that rely on this type of income, this is going to be 2 events, so almost 2 years of revenue for them. Where now, what could we do hybrid? Like, okay, you can only have X amount of people there, but also online, so you can kind of gauge I don't know. I just feel like we have given up on.
Well, I wouldn't say ideas. Well, I wouldn't say give ideas, but unfortunately, people only have so much. Because I did an IG live. Was it Friday? I think it was Friday, and it was funny because I got creative. And what I did, I usually don't do Instagram lives. I said, you know what? The best way for me to talk about how good the food I'm eating is from these restaurants is just go live and start eating.
Yes, I saw it. I was like, yo, just give the experience, right?
Yeah. So was it Wednesday night after a really long day? I got on and ate the Sugarcane Restaurant's jerk chicken fettuccine. Oh,
what?
It was so good. And people, if you and then on Friday, I sat down on my porch in the sunlight eating the food from Gospel Cafe GC Jerk Express. And both foods was amazing. But one of the things that was interesting is during that IG live, one of the members of my community, gentleman, the big dreamer, Greg Francis out of Ohio, who retired at 39 years old.
Okay.
Because he owned over 150 Subway restaurants when he retired.
What?
But he was dropping in and giving us some stats of how many restaurants are closing in the United States. And he said over 200,000 restaurants have closed in the United States.
I heard the 200 and I was going to be like, damn. And then it's like, no. 200,000.
200,000 restaurants have closed in the United States. So so you look at the impact in North America to the restaurant industry. And again, Greg was, because he's been in the industry for years. He knows it. Yes. So you look at the residual effect. Truck drivers, everything gets delivered to a grocery store, comes by truck. It may come in from other countries, but it has to get delivered directly. So that's less deliveries for trucks because they have less places to truck to. With their the goods and food and goods and supplies. It was a really, I thought it was just going to be an conversation, up to being a really great conversation about supply, demand, industry, business-wise. Let me just see here what Divine Res. But you're right, the income is not the same. I'm a self-published author, and I haven't done an in-person event since December 2019, book-wise. It is a lot on us small business owners and vendors. Yep.
And that's where the government is really putting it on the backs of the vendors to figure it out for ourselves, really. And that's where, again, it hits me mentally because it gives us the impression that they don't want to be creative in supporting these people that rely on these events. And they're really just saying, okay, that's canceled. You guys got to figure out something else. Instead of saying, hey, bring all the vendors that have all this creativity and great ideas to the table, and the owners of C&E and all these events, and say, listen, we need to figure out something that doesn't totally just crush your industry. Let's put it on the table. And again, if everybody comes to the table with terrible ideas, then I can say, okay, you know what? We couldn't figure this out. But if somebody drops a gem, we should at least entertain it. Give us the opportunity to be creative and come with our ideas. Don't just dictate that things are canceled for the second time And now that will probably be the straw that kills a lot of people that are in these industries to say, you know what, I have to go find something else. And that to me should have been like the last resort. And if that's the last resort, then we are in worse shape than the government is letting on, because that means that they do not have a grasp of this current like outbreak that we're having. I know our cases are still over 3,000 a day, and the premier was saying it needs to get under 1,000 for the lockdown to be removed. And it was initially extended to June 2nd, and we're still at 3,000. I didn't check today, but I don't see that happening. So this lockdown and them canceling it, those combined makes it feel like it's just going to go into fall, possibly winter.
Right. Before we go to break, a lot has closed down. This is Divine, right? A lot has closed down here. There's a shopping center by us. The whole back end is vacant. They all closed in the pandemic, and the movie theater is being demolished.
Right, because they know that you probably can't come back the same. Right?
Movie theater demolished. Woo! Yes. That's serious. Well, folks, we are going to go for a break. We've got a new sponsor here today, so we're going to see something new, and I can talk a little bit about it when we come back. So you are watching The Morning Vibe with Dr. Vibe and Ryan Oneil Knight. Here we go. What is up, everybody? My name is Dr. Vibe. I'm the host and producer of the award-winning online show, The Dr. Vibe Show, and I host the only online show in the world for fathers and dads that's sponsored by Dove Men Care. Recently, I realized that I had no experience creating and presenting a pitch deck. So I reached out to Mario because he has proven success in this area with sponsorship with brands such as Capital One, FedEx, Beats by Dre, and Zenni Eyewear. He is so great to work with. He made sure to go through the process step by step with me on creating and presenting a pitch deck. He always made sure I understood what he was sharing with me. The results, what a game changer. As I mentioned, I now host the only online show in the world for fathers and dads that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. With his help, he's given me the clarity and the confidence to create and present a pitch deck. So if you get the opportunity to work with Mario, just do it. You won't regret it. What is up? So that's something new. Mario Armstrong's Get Sponsorship Money course. I highly recommend it, folks. And won't get too much into it, but I will say that one of the ways that people can get some money that traditionally they don't think of is getting sponsorship money from companies.
Yes.
So there is the name of the course. There is the link at the bottom. You can screenshot it now. We're broadcasting live on the 17th of May, 2021. The deadline to register for the course is this Friday, May 21st, 12 midnight Eastern time. If you have any questions about it, get in contact with me. I know there are people in Canada. I know at least one person for sure in Canada that has registered to take the course, but I know we have a worldwide audience. I know he's also had people from Europe that are taking the course. So that is a game changer. So if you're looking for opportunities to amplify your game, I would say hashtag secure the bag, hashtag get the bag. He is a person now. Him and his wife have personally been able to get over $3 million of sponsorship over the last 5 years from companies like Capital One, Beats by Dre, Wix, Zenni Eyewear. He wears glasses, prescription glasses. He has a multi-year deal by a company called Zenni, which is one of the biggest online retailers of glasses in the US. Yeah, I'm promoting it. Yeah, because it works. He is my mentor, and I do anything to serve my mentor, and it's worth it. And I can go into live, but he even did an IG live yesterday for 4 hours, giving people breakthroughs. And he actually asked me. I co-hosted a Clubhouse live with him once. He asked me. I was just going, "Wow." I'll stop for now. Let's get back to the regularly scheduled program, The Morning Vibe.
Yo, no sweat, and glad to hear, because again, a lot of times people don't think about sponsorship as a revenue generator. So that's a great tip. I'm still trying to wrap my head around these events being canceled.
Pretzel.
And
Well, you know what's funny, folks? When I told Ryan before we went live, I wish I could have taken a screenshot. It was like a death stare into the camera, going, "What?" Like you could. He wasn't saying it, but his face said, "What?"
and I keep using that. What comes to mind is the give up, like like we have exhausted all options and we are just stuck, and we're going to be stuck for so many more months. That's the impression I get, and I feel like our government shouldn't be giving that impression.
Well, you got to take advantage of the crisis. So we've been in this for over a year now. What have you found a skill set? Have you? I don't like using it because I hear it so much. Pivoted. What are you doing now? What are you doing to? Well, first of all, healthcare, mental health wise, what are you doing to sustain yourself, not only just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, intellectually wise, what you're doing? I'm blessed myself. I had the biggest growth of myself personally and professionally over the last year because I said, you know what? I'm not going to want to be left behind, and I got to create.
True. But then that's where, so people getting these vaccines, aren't they allowed to go jump up on the road? Like if I go get my shot, I'm expecting that I can at least go out to the mall or to an event.
And I agree with you on that. And this is where the United States comes in. Yes, the CDC says people can go anywhere they want if they've been fully vaccinated. How do you know?
I can't argue with that.
How do you know?
I hear a lot of pushback about the passport. There was pushback just about the app that was going to do the contact tracing. But I would rather at minimum, we should be knowing where people are getting infected. And if that's what the app could do, again, that would you have to show me if it works. But the vaccine itself, oh man, because my WhatsApp groups are going to get so mad at me. We already have a vaccine card. Like that's what I remember. You go to school and they would ask my children, you have to show the card and that it's updated. So this is not new. Like showing that you have certain shots is not new. Everybody that travels to certain areas of the world and you need to get certain shots, you have to show that you got, or sometimes it's just on your own. Like if you can go and risk it, or if you don't, but you have these, it's like trackers.
The Divine Right is saying exactly. They have COVID vaccination cards, but it's not like people are asking to see them.
Yeah, and that's where, instead, so if the option is between shutting down Carabana, I'm going to use Carabana as an example, or figuring out that if people are vaccinated and they get their yellow cards, they have to go ask their mom for it because it's in a drawer somewhere collecting dust, and they have to dust it off. You got your shot and you update your card, and that's what you can show to say, listen, I can get my costume and I can build my float. And because the people that have already been building and didn't realize it's being canceled, that's a lot of wasted time. But sorry, I just got off.
No, well, it's actually
that card could be used.
Well, it's actually interesting too, because I know that they were doing preparation for this year's Carabana, Reese.
They did the launch. Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the people were building up to it, and I think planning, and I think there were obviously the people that wear costumes for it. I think they were already in that flow
and selling the costumes. Yes,
and now,
and imagine, because if people have already been buying their costumes, and it's probably no refund because that money is probably spent. So a lot of people have been spending money in preparation for certain things that are going to be happening in the summer. And now that is an additional loss. And these are the things that I don't think the government is realizing how invested people are into these events.
No, well, but the government is probably saying, we'd rather go on the safe than sorry side.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you asked me the question, if we could do it with people that are vaccinated, how do we know? We have the tool that you could show and say, I've been vaccinated. And again, they'll probably digitize it and put it onto our phones. But these are things that, is this an option? Did they think of this as an option? Maybe they did. And maybe they figured, hey, too many people are going to sneak in. So it just seems like they could have used more creativity, and a lot of the ideas that we're thinking of right now, and it's just me kind of riffing, but that to me is better. Us figuring out how to prove people are vaccinated is better than just canceling Caravana, for example.
We've got a few more moments left, but folks, don't let Divine Right steal the show in regards to comments. What are your thoughts on this issue, especially if you're living in the GTA, with events like no Caravana this year, no Canadian Exhibition this year, no Toronto Jazz Festival, which is a big draw too, also by the beaches area in Toronto. None of these events are going to be happening this year. None of them. So do we feel that, should we open it up and basically deal with any potential consequences? I think the government's taking a look at, our emergency health units or emergency care units in our hospitals. We're at one time at full capacity or maximum full capacity, and now they're not. How are people thinking, especially in the Toronto area? If you're from the United States, how do you feel it's going on down there? Good morning, our dedicated supporter, Mr. Christopher Lawrence. Morning. How we doing? And also, he has to make sure Ryan Oneil Knight. There you go too. How are you feeling about that? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things go on, and I guess people getting used to this environment that could be going on for a prolonged pandemic.
And here's the thing too. I see a lot of my friends on Facebook that get their vaccination, get their first dose, and then they feel like they're getting closer to normalcy. That is the story. If you're driving and you see these billboards talking about your turn next, get your vaccine, the story that they're selling us is that if you get this vaccination, we'll be able to do things again. The other story that they're now telling us is that doesn't matter if you get your vaccination, summer's canceled. So I feel like it's conflicting, because it's like, okay, if summer's canceled, then I'll just stay in my house. Why am I getting a vaccine? It's not encouraging. That isn't encouraging to me to now go get the vaccine thinking that it's getting closer to some sort of normalcy. And I responded, I was like, take the word normal and put that into a dumpster and set it on fire. There's nothing close to normal that is happening anytime soon.
I really wonder in regards to this whole situation and the impact, especially of Black people, because this people of color thing, that's all of the conversation. Yes. Last I checked, I'm Black. I'm not pink, green. I'm Black. But the continued impact, and just we haven't seen the long-term impact at a really ground level as of yet. That's what my big concern is, but it's also opportunity for others to create. There are new industries that have become very hot out of this, and actually funny that many economists have been saying now this last year has seen the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. So there are people and there are companies that are benefiting from this. Now, are you going to be a person that benefits out of this? Are you going to come out of, as Divine Right, one of our great associates, Dr. Tachi, says, are you going to be more are you going to be smarter, wiser, savvier out of this? Because you're on, and for at least us here in Canada, it's still going on. The US, who knows? I wonder what it mean politically if they start going back into lockdown.
Right. And again, like you said, time will tell. And then when time does tell, you always hate looking back and be like, oh, see, I told you so. But at this moment, there's no A/B testing. There's nothing to test it against.
Well, I'm just thinking in my mind, it'd be really great if we could get a medical person on to talk about this.
Break it down. So true.
Really true, because I know there's a gentleman I spoke to in another one of my conversations a few weeks ago. He's saying, don't believe what the medical people are telling you, because even this vaccine this shot people are getting you, it doesn't guarantee.
And that's where I feel like the cancellations verify that hypothesis, because if the vaccines were doing what the commercials say that it's supposed to do, you wouldn't cancel the summer. You'd be like, just get more people vaccinated and we can have Caravana. Like, that would be the next tagline. Like, hey, if you want Caravana to be on this year, everybody has to be vaccinated. Like that to me. But then when you say it's canceled, then you're like, okay, so is this vaccine actually going to allow us to do things? And then you mentioned a doctor's talking about, listen, the vaccine isn't the cure-all. It's not going to get us to normalcy, like I was saying before. So then really, what is the point? What's the specific point of the vaccine? Make that clear. Don't make us create the story, because people on Facebook and friends of mine think that, hey, if I get the vaccine, I'm going to get close to normal. Doctors are saying, hey, the vaccine isn't the cure-all, so don't rely on it as if it's going to get us back to normalcy. So there's a miscommunication in this.
I think there'll be a number of people wearing a mask for a long time.
See, and so if that's normal, that's the new normal. You walk into an elevator and you see a person wearing a mask, you're just like, yep, that's normal.
That's it. Well, folks, we could ramble on forever about this, but it's Monday. I know many of you want to get your week started and going. So what's going on with you this week, Ryan?
Actually, there's a few meetings with some politicians. We got to update them on what ACBN is up to and the different programs that we're doing with ACA. So shout out to Amari and his team from the Afro-Canadian Contractors Association. They're doing some great work with the Office of Small and Medium-Sized Business about procurement, and also CMHC, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, work with them about getting builders and developers the money to build affordable housing. So we've been able to work with them, and we're excited to have some more meetings with different politicians to keep them up to date, because we're going to be looking for places to build. So if there's any vacant land, look out for the city of Ryan coming soon, and we shall build our own communities.
Actually, the Ryan. Wow.
Ryanism lives.
I don't know if that sounds Darwinist. The city of wow. Okay,
it just needs one. Actually, how much population do you know? Salt Lake City started with 150 people. So I always think of that story. You find the people
man
that
wants his own city. Divine Right is saying, and this is still very new, like Dr. Vibe said, we still haven't seen the long-term impact on this vaccine. Well, I think we're beginning to see. We've seen phase 1, and the phase 2 is coming. Christopher Lawrence, hashtag procurement.
There's the bag. That's where the money's at.
And that's enough. We're going to see if we can get someone on. I want to get someone on, if anyone knows in our community, someone who could come on our platform and talk about diversity and inclusion, what's really happening. And like this, Christopher Lawrence, hashtag the city of Ryan. There we go. It's already the new trending hashtag, the city of Ryan.
Yes.
All right. No Gotham, no Brampton, no Toronto, no Scarborough, no North York and Tobago. The city of Ryan.
Hey, Vaughn was named after somebody.
There you go. Divine Right is saying some people have called what is called a low immune response to vaccine because their system is going through so much with another illness or disease. So we have to be extra careful. And Divine Right, we should have you come on, because she has somewhat of an expertise, because she is a survivor of Lyme disease and ovarian cancer advocate. So she knows a little bit about immunity to things. So Divine Right, we'd love to have you on. And also too, Christopher Lawrence, we'd love to have you on too if you're up for it, or anyone who'd like to come on, get in contact with me either via IG or Twitter. You've made our conversation such a success. We'd love to have you on here as a special guest and hang out with us, rap with us. We would absolutely love it. So you've got some meetings this week. Myself, it's a lot quieter this week than last week was gradually going tornado with presentations at Canada's National Fatherhood Conference. I co-hosted a Clubhouse Live with Mario for 4 hours. Actually was interviewed by him on Friday. He interviewed me on Friday.
Nice. You see that?
We've got going to be posting some clips of that on Instagram either today or tomorrow. And him and I are doing something again sometime this week to promote his sponsorship course, which I will just put up again. If anyone has any interest, Mario Armstrong's Get Sponsorship Money course. That is the link. Again, if you have any questions about it, you can go to the link. You can also contact me. I know lots about it, and it is going to be great. We got a comment here. Thanks, Dr. Vibe. Thank you, Christopher Lawrence. Thank you for being here this morning. Any last words, Ryan, before we get out of here today?
No, there will be a few announcements this week about, I don't know, the federal one is going to be announced, but I know BBPA and their BAIDS program should be announced this week.
What's that?
Should be, oh my gosh, the Business Advisory and Development Support. I apologize, I don't know what BAID stands for, but it's to support business owners so you can get grants to get services done. So this week, they're going to be doing the full launch of it. They had already been collecting information, but if you are looking for a grant for your business, stay tuned. I believe it's the 20th. So look out for May 20th. The Black Business and Professionals Association, BBPA, is going to be doing their launch, and that'll be supporting. And they're connected with the government funding, the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund. So I feel like that's a good connection in entry through BAIDS, get support for your business plan, and get access to the government loans. But don't wait till then. Start working on your business plans now. As soon as this funding is open, 100%, they're going to be asking you for your business plan and cash flow projections. So we've been starting to support entrepreneurs with that.
All right. And Divine Right says she would love to come on the platform. So back channel, offline wise, Divine Right, contact me and let's see if we can get you on. If you're available Friday morning, that would be fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right. So everyone, as always, I say thank you very much. Myself and Ryan say thank you very much. If it's sunny where you are, go out and enjoy the weather. If it isn't, just find a way of enjoying life, because time never lost a fight.
Agreed.
So look at it this way, folks. As always, I like to close up my conversations like this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Also, love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourselves grace. Again, big shout out to Divine Right. Thank you for your continued support. And to Christopher, thank you for your continued support. Everyone who watched this live on the replay, thank you for your support. And yeah, there's a chair open if you want to come on. We'd like to have you on. God bless. Oh, we got some more comments here, so I want to make sure we get them on. I don't want to leave. Okay, Divine Right says this was great. Christopher says have a great week. And then there's Dr. Beverly can speak on anti-racism and perhaps diversities. I don't know who that is. So Christopher, if you can reach out to me via Facebook, or you may or may not have my email address, if you can get me that contact information as soon as possible, I would love to have Dr. Beverly on about anti-racism a year after the pandemic has struck, because I think there's a lot of growing skepticism in regards to how serious companies are in regards to diversity, anti-racism, etc. A lot of people are going, nice talk. But
yeah, because it's been talk since a year ago, and it's like people are just getting around to it now. So we'll see how serious they are.
We don't want to have another death to happen for us to have more progress in that. Let's leave it at that. All right, folks, enjoy the week. Be well. Keep the faith. And remember to give yourselves grace. Bye-bye.